Welcome to today's video, and today I'm continuing with my lifetime transformation series. This is chapter number 4, aesthetic era. The last chapter, number 3, was finished with this physique that you see right now. And if you are new to my lifetime transformation series, I recommend you to start with chapter number 1. I will link here a card. Basically, this is a series where I'm talking my transformation throughout the years, sharing my mistakes, sharing my experiences, so you can also learn a thing or two on the way. Chapter number 4 will cover the years 2013 to 2014, when I was from 21 to 22 years of age. So I was in my last 2 terms of university. At the end of the 3rd term, I was looking like this. And here you can already spot major differences compared to my last physique from chapter number 3. So all my physical injuries were healed, and mentally I was also in a good place. So I did rebound from rock bottom that I did mention in the last chapter, and I was now good to go on my journey onwards. As you do see, I did grow out my hair here, so I was not anymore walking around with a shaved head. And the essence of this chapter as a whole is very clear. It's the aesthetic era. So one day I was browsing through YouTube and I stumbled upon this video, Get Ripped or Die Myron. So I clicked on it, and if you are familiar with Z's, then you know the story. So I did discover Z's, the aesthetic crew, the whole movement, and the rest is history. So unfortunately, when I did discover him, he already did pass away. But still, after watching all the videos, you can feel that there was a different aura about him in these times. So as I was recovering from a complete burnout, mentally and also physically, this was a new breath of fresh air. So I had this new inspiration that was presented to me, and as I was in a very vulnerable state at that time, I was hooked. The first step was to get lean. Of course, that's the whole essence of the aesthetic era. And after that, I did bring 2 dumbbells to my apartment and I started working out. And now we will transition to talking about the training that I did at first. I had a webcam and I did film some footage from these times. Start off with the chest. So my go-to exercises was on the floor, because I didn't have a bench, and I did perform the dumbbell press and also the dumbbell fly. And after that, also some push-ups. So these were my 3 main movements for the chest. And I will now talk about the form, how I am performing each of these exercises, because most of the movements that I did at that time were not performed with a correct technique. So that's why there's no point in talking about in detail, because this video would go then on for hours, and I want to condense everything here as much as possible, because there is a lot of information to gain from these times. Then for the shoulders, I did the dumbbell front raises, dumbbell lateral raises, and dumbbell reverse flies. So I did hit here the front delt, side delt, and rear delt as best as I could at that time. Now for back training, I did buy here my first door gym. So that's a pull-up bar in between the door frame. So I did pull-ups, chin-ups, and also with the dumbbells a row. So that was my back training, and the pull-up bar was very sketchy, unstable, but I didn't know better in these times. Then for the biceps, I did some dumbbell curl, and for the triceps, I did dumbbell overhead extensions, and of course the legendary triceps dip on the bench. So I think most of us did do this exercise at one point of our lives for sure. And now some of the more interesting exercises that I did perform. So for the forearms, I did dumbbell hammer curls, but I didn't know what I was targeting there. I did think it was biceps or the brachialis, but in my book, hammer curls are for forearms, here the brachioradialis. In the past, it always used to be, and even now sometimes you see for the biceps, there is programmed 3 sets of dumbbell bicep curls, and then for example you have 3 sets of hammer curls, and that's it. In my opinion, this is not enough for bicep training, because the hammer curls are forearm. And here you can see I was already doing wrist flexion and wrist extension with the dumbbell. So I was already training forearms at that time directly. I even trained abs directly with some crunches, and to my surprise, I remembered after seeing the videos of mine that I was performing for the traps also, for the upper traps here exercises, So I had upright row and I had the dumbbell shrugs. So that was my training in the apartment that I was living in, and it's a very rough environment if you see, and I had 2 dumbbells, pull-up bar, and that's it. That's how I started off training at home. And majority of the time, if I remember correctly, I was performing a push-pull legs split. So I was doing push, pull, legs, rest, and repeat. So I was training quite frequently throughout the week. Then after finishing the 3rd term, I was at my parents' home for a couple of months throughout the summer, and then I was working out in the gym for these months. So here I have also some footage from the gym, how I was working out there. For example, I did there pull-ups, lat pull-downs, cable rows for the back. For the chest, I did the regular bench and also the incline bench, then some cable flies and dips. Also, you can see me doing here a easy bar preacher curl, and of course I was doing my upright rows and shrug. Then if we are talking about leg training, in the gym I did do the leg press, after that the lying leg curl, also some reverse lunges and the calf raise. And then also at my parents' home I had a home gym, if you did watch the previous chapters, but it was moved to another place of the house. And here you can also see me performing the Bulgarian split squat and the reverse lunge. My apartment, I was also training legs, but I don't have any footage of it. But basically you cannot do that many exercises at home for your legs with this limited equipment. So most of the time it was Bulgarian split squats and reverse lunges, and then some calf raises. And at some time I did experiment with leg curls when you would hold a dumbbell between your legs, but it's very uncomfortable performing this exercise. And here I will show you a physique, how it looked like at that time. So as you can see, it was a lean physique and with a little bit of muscle. So in my opinion, I looked kind of good. So after summer was over, I was going back to the capital to study for my 4th term in university. So this was my last year of studying, and I continued to training at home at my apartment, and I did bring back a barbell from my parents' home because I was that much dedicated to training. So here are my last training videos from the year 2013, and this is around the time where I would turn 22 years old. So for the shoulders we have the same front raise, we have the same lateral raise and the same reverse fly, but I did add a new exercise, the dumbbell shoulder press here to my arsenal. Then for the traps I did continue performing the shrugs. For the forearms I did hammer curls. Then of course we had the 2 exercises for the rotator cuffs that everybody was performing at that time, and we didn't know gravity existed here. Then for the biceps I did perform here with the barbell, with the straight bar, some curls. And for the triceps, once again the same bench dips and the dumbbell overhead extension, and also I was performing the lying dumbbell extension. For the chest I really wanted to perform it on the incline, so of course I was doing it on the floor, the press and the fly, but I did put on the couch a wooden board, so I was placed in the incline position, and there I did do my presses and my flies. At first it was okay, everything was good, but after increasing the weight a bit, one time it did break in half. I landed on my back, but nothing bad happened. But to see how much I was dedicated to training here. And then I did perform some push-ups on the door trim. So not only you could do pull-ups here between the door frame, but you can also use it to do push-ups to get a better range of motion. And this was the physique, how I ended the year 2013. So my goal was to bulk up a lot, and as you can see I was not looking lean anymore. I did accumulate as best as I could the muscle size, also I did accumulate some body fat, and this was the time where I decided for the next year 2014 I will get shredded, diced, peeled to the bone. So I started to structure here a cutting phase, but I will show you how it ended. On one hand you have your expectations, on the other hand you have the reality, how you will look at single-digit body fat level. So the year 2014 started, and here I have interesting footage of a deadlift form check. So I was training in my flat, in my small apartment, and I did do deadlift form checks. Why? what's the point of doing them? Well, you see, that was the current state of the YouTube fitness at that time. Everything was centered about the big three lifts: the bench, the squat, and the deadlift. So you can already see the influence that YouTube fitness can have. My personal goal was to look bigger, look more aesthetic, but I was slowly drifting towards the big three lifts. Now I will name the channels that I did follow at that time, and I will not leave a comment whether they were good or they were bad, because some of them were better, some of them were worse. So in my book, these were like the OGs of the YouTube fitness sphere. So of course, from the last chapter, I did already mention Scooby and Sean Nalavani. After that, for example, I did follow Elliot Holmes, Johnny Candito, the Hodge twins, of course Ziz and all the aesthetic crew, Chris Jones, Scott Herman. At that time I did discover also intermittent fasting from the Lean Gains. It was, I think, Martin Berghan, and that was my preferred way of cutting also. So I did learn new stuff. And then at one time I remember my friend asked me what was my goal physique, and I did tell them, well, I don't want to look like a massive competitive bodybuilder that uses PEDs. I want to look something more realistic, like Lazar Angelov. So yeah, that was my expectation at that time. Well, it's good to have a goal like this, but as you will see, the reality of how you end up looking like is nothing like this. So here are a couple of pictures when I did already have a smartphone, and I would call this my magic mirror. So I was already quite lean in these pictures, and after a workout with the perfect angle, with a good lighting, you can make your physique look unrealistically good. That's also a thing to keep in mind, and later I will show a reality. So when you are looking nowadays at social media, you can see some of the physiques are just unrealistic, and if you would see it in person, how he's looking like, then you would think about, does he even live? So I had here my smartphone, and I could already film better quality videos. I also did track calories, so I was using my MyFitnessPal at that time. I also did follow a lot of YouTube channels that were in this full day of eating sphere. So I was immersed in the whole YouTube fitness content. Here I have some training videos beginning 2014 in my home gym with the new smartphone, so with better quality. And also I did buy here my first bench. So for example, I did the dumbbell press, also the incline dumbbell press on the new bench. Then of course my push-ups, and here you can see me performing the barbell floor press at the apartment. And the question once again is why? I have way more better lifts available at my home, but still I am sticking to this barbell bench. I really want to bench press. So that was the influence, because I was consuming content on YouTube that were preaching squat, bench, deadlift. So naturally I wanted to do these movements because it was ingrained that they are way superior compared to other movements. Then for the back I started doing weighted chin-ups. So I was putting a dumbbell there between my legs and performing them on this sketchy pull-up bar. Then I did perform normal pull-ups, also some neutral grip pull-ups. Then on the new bench I did do the dumbbell rows. I continued doing shrugs, then bicep curls with the straight bar, and for the triceps I did also some extensions with the straight bar. Then when visiting my parents' home, I did go to the gym from time to time. So here I have also some footage from the gym. So I did here the weighted pull-ups, as you can see, then some cable rows for the back. For the biceps I was doing easy bar curls. For the chest I was doing the bench and also the incline bench press, then some shrugs for the traps. And for the shoulders, the seated overhead press and the reverse flies. And here I did film a physique update in the gym and also at home. And in my opinion, this would be the time to stop the cut. There's no point to go any leaner than that. You must go straight into a bulk and focus on building muscle. There's really no point to getting here shredded when you don't have in the first place the muscle build up that would make you look good. So you will achieve only like a concentration camp physique if you continue to diet after this. But I still dieted for 2 more months and this was the result. So here is, for example, a physique update in my so-called magic mirror, without a pump, without a workout, in a normal angle. And this was the reality. I did go way overboard with the cut. And as you can see, the physique just doesn't look good. It's too lean. And here's the final physique update that I managed to achieve at my leanest. So I was weighing about 77 kilograms here at 1 meter and 88 centimeters. And the physique, you can see it for yourself. It doesn't look good because it's way too lean and I don't have enough of muscle on my frame to make it look good. In some angles I can make myself look good, look decently, but if you see the reality, it's way too lean, it's unnecessary. So I did fall here into the trap of shredding and being just way too lean. As a natural, first you have to focus on building up your base, your muscles, and then you can think about going maybe such low body fat levels, but most of the time it's just unnecessary. And here I have some secret training footage from my apartment at that time, so I really wanted to learn the bench, how to do it correctly, how to feel the pecs here, how to retract your scapula. So I was filming here various form checks and you can see how much I was influenced here by the big free lift. Then I have here my last footage from training in the gym for this chapter. So here I did the bench, of course, the incline bench, the cable row, triceps extensions, and here you can see I was doing squats. So the form is of course not good, but you can see how much I was influenced. I was doing the deadlift form checks in my apartment, then I did the floor press, then I was benching in the gym regularly, and here I was doing squats. So in my mind, if you were not doing these big free lifts, you are doing something wrong and you are missing out on gain. And here I did also the 90-degree back extension, but the form is also not good. And this is my final physique update for this chapter. And in my opinion, these were some of the most aesthetic shots from that time. So this was a little bit after I have carved up, after workout in a good lighting. So I finished the chapter looking like this. And I would successfully finish university, and in the next chapter I would depart to Germany, where I would spend 5.5 years. So after finishing university, 1 week did go by and I departed to Germany. And now some interesting stories from chapter number 4. So overall I did enjoy my last 2 years and especially the last year of university because it was good times. Training at home, listening to hardstyle music, watching YouTube fitness, getting better and better. It was a very good time. And by following the aesthetics movement, this, for example, I didn't do the bad habits that he was doing. For example, I was still going to nightclubs, I was going partying, but I was not drinking anymore and I was not smoking anymore. In the last 2 years of university, I didn't even drink and I didn't smoke. So finally, I did manage to quit these nasty habits of mine. I still continued to playing volleyball, but only as an amateur, so I was enjoying it. And then, for example, I remember taking for the first time some supplements. So I was taking creatine only once, and you had there various myths about creatine. You have to take it first thing in the morning with grape juice. So always when waking up, I had already there under my bed prepared a tiny cup of creatine with grape juice. So after waking up, first thing in the morning, I would down the creatine with the grape juice. Then one time I did buy a multivitamin supplement. So it had 7 tablets in it and I had to consume it daily. So first thing in the morning, I was consuming 7 tablets of these multivitamins. So yeah, crazy times when thinking back. Then of course I did have my first smartphone and I followed all the channels that I have outlined. I counted all the calories. So I really did think that I was going in a good direction. But as you can see, the learning curve from this chapter would be that yes, you can work out at home, even for example with 2 dumbbells. You don't have any excuse in not doing this, but you do have to know the training principles for hypertrophy. You have to have solid bolts that are well constructed. Also, you have to have a decent cutting strategy. If you will go shred down to the bone and your bolts will not be productive, then you will end up spinning your wheels for many years, because first of all, you will not build up enough muscle over your bolts, or you will build up just a little bit of muscle, which you will lose on your cut, and then you will not look good at the end of the day. So here the major mistake was, of course, I didn't have enough knowledge of training and I did diet too hard. So that was chapter number 4. If you haven't watched the complete series, here I will link a playlist so you can watch all my lifetime transformation series. So I will see you soon in the next videos. Bye.